Hey everyone, this is the Sunbro, and today I'm going to be talking more about quality weapons. I missed some stuff that I wanted to talk about last time, so I thought I'd make another video to talk about it. First thing I wanted to mention is that I was wrong about the Gargoyle Halberd. I said that it would probably be better than the standard Halberd in the end, but I was wrong by 2 points. The standard halberd has 521 damage at 40/40 for strength and dex, and the gargoyle halberd has 519. So, if you have lower stats for the gargoyle halberd, it still might be better because it has DD scaling instead of DC. But my reasoning behind it being better in the end was because every time you upgraded it, it gained more attack power than the halberd did when you upgraded it, so that was my reasoning behind that. If you do a build for quality that goes 27 strength and 40 dex, it'll probably end up being better, but I'm not sure. I don't have a file to test that on at the moment. Another thing I wanted to mention is the Lucerne's attack type only being thrust. Big advantage for that is that it can be combined with the Leo Ring to do some massive damage when you counter. That, in conjunction with it being buffable, probably makes it the best buffable quality weapon overall. I'm still not a fan of its move set, but overall it'll deal the most damage as long as you're wearing the Leo Ring and you get that counter in. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the non-buffable quality weapons, because I really didn't even think about it at the time. Ones that are good, I did mention this one, the Giant's Halberd. It has the lightning damage, it scales D and D. The Titanite Catch Pull is a good one for if you're doing strength, dex, and intelligence, which, as you can see by the stats, is what my character is. Because it scales D, D, and D with intelligence, so its damage is 592. And like I said, it isn't buffable, but if you are going to be int and don't want to fill up your slots with buffs, you want to use, your other crystal magics or something, then that's a good weapon to have. Another one that is good is the Stone Giant Greatsword, because that scales C, C, and E. That sword's final damage, at least for my stats, being 40, 40, 50, is going to be 608, which is pretty decent for a non-buffable weapon. One that would be good for Faith, my character, as you can see, only has 8 Faith, and I don't have a character to test it on at the moment, is the Crescent Axe, because it scales D, D, and B, so it's actually superior scaling to the Titanite Catch Pull. So that one would be a good non-buffable quality weapon if your third stat is in Faith instead of into Intelligence like mine. Another one I wanted to mention was this weapon, the Great Lord Greatsword. It's not the best, but it's noteworthy. It scales D and D, so it's definitely a quality weapon. Equip it. It's got 537 damage, which isn't too bad. One that I can't really test on any of my characters at the moment is Artorias' sword, which scales C across the board. So with that, if anyone ends up making a character that has, 50 and 50 for strength and dex, and then 50 and 50 in intelligence and faith, that is probably the best overall non-buffable quality weapon, because it scales across the board in every stat. But I don't have a character to test it with, and I really don't know anyone who goes up to be that high of a level. Being soul level 173 is extremely high for me. But that's really about it for those. Another thing I wanted to mention was the Zweihander, because while it is strong on its own, being 610, when you use a buff on it, as I showed the last time, its damage is pretty huge, 941. But it also has another advantage. When you parry, you're going to get 2 hits in, and while the total damage for your sword will be the same without the buff, you're going to deal the damage of the buff with each hit. So it'll be dealing the damage difference between the 610 and the 941, so it'll be dealing a lot of extra damage, 331 extra damage, based on the resistances of the enemy at least, for both of the hits. So it won't just be the one hit like it is for a parry or a backstab. So it deals even more damage when you do it that way. And that about wraps it up for the things that I left out. I'm going to be doing a Dark Souls playthrough, since it seems like you guys were interested in some of my other Dark Souls videos. If you want to leave in the comments something interesting you want me to do in it, like if you want me to be a certain class, or give me a handicap like no shield or something, then I'll see if I can implement that. It's always fun to do anything to make this game harder, because at this point, most experienced players who have played this a lot, it really isn't too difficult anymore, and we're just kind of waiting for Dark Souls 2, so I thought that might be interesting. So yeah, if you have anything you want me to do for that, just leave it in the description, or in the comments, sorry. But yeah, that is about it for this video. Thank you for watching. Remember to praise the sun, and you all have a nice day.